So first of all, it's an honor and a pleasure for me to meet you, Jim, tonight, because I'm a huge fan since I was a teenager. Very nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well. Thanks for having me over here to have a chat.
I know you've heard this question many, many times, but I want to ask with the Masks. When you were starting the band, the Masks were anti-show business, anti-celebrities, anti-fame and all the stuff. Do you think nowadays, when we have social media, when we have Instagram, Facebook, does it matter for people still to show what you have to say instead of your face, or the face is the most important thing for people nowadays because of the social media?
I think it depends on what you're trying to say. I think it also depends on the genre of music. And I think it depends on the type of art you're putting out there. I mean, there's so many different factors for it all. For me personally, it's more of a live thing. And it started out as an anti-image kind of thing with the boiler suits and the masks and very nondescript numbers, things like that. But that kind of sort of backfired on us a little bit, and it kind of became part of the culture and part of the identity where anybody could make their own and come to a show, and and that sort of thing evolved with a lot of like what the Maggots are doing, and that's really cool. But I think unfortunately, in a lot of ways, I listen to a lot of classic rock and a lot of old singer-songwriter stuff from the 60s and 70s and maybe even some 80s pop and stuff like that. When you look at old videos of these musicians, they're not necessarily the prettiest people on the planet.
That's right.
However, now everybody is, you know what I mean? And and somehow in the 80s with MTV and all that happening, like it became an image, it became a look. Like you couldn't just look like a trucker or a backline guy or something, It's like if you have a little bit of talent and you can dance a little bit, then they're going to have a team of songwriters kind of, do up whatever for you. And that's fine. That has, it serves a purpose. Not really what we do, not our thing, For me, like I said, to make a long story even longer, for me it's a way for me to kind of release my inhibitions live, because I'm not necessarily one of the most outgoing people that you would ever meet. But I put this on and it's almost like a shield, and it kind of, I can kind of like pretend that I'm, that big rock star that, I always dreamed that I could be, but I'm a little bit probably too awkward or insecure to be,
I can't think of a better motto for a band like Slipknot than "We are not your kind." Do I understand it well that you still, as a band, feel like a hated orphan of the industry?
I feel like that's turning around a little bit. I think, I think we're definitely a lot more accepted. For me personally, it's more of like a kind of a musicianship kind of thing, because when people see the boiler suits and the masks and, we tune down low and all this, they a lot of like musicians are probably like, oh, those guys can't play, or they don't think about their guitar tone, or they don't think about, arrangement and layering and things like that. And we take our art very seriously, and we want to expand on it. And I'm still learning as a guitar player and as a songwriter. So I think now we're kind of like, people are hearing the songs, and they're hearing even our older catalog, stuff from the first record. I mean, there's a lot of cerebral stuff, a lot of layers going on in there, and it might not come through with the production of a lot of it, but it's there, and I think, we are kind of getting that a little bit, but there's always, let's face it, it's called the music business. At the end of the day, it is a business, and that can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. It can be a good thing in the sense that it could get people out there that might not necessarily have ever been seen before, but now we have all the social media, so there are ways, for people to be seen that are talented, and it can be, to be commoditized is, it's a tough thing too, it's kind of a double-edged sword, But we're lucky. I mean, since day one, we have never been told by the label what to do, how to act, what to, not with the artwork, not with the music, not with anything. We've been, and we're lucky to, have, Roadrunner and Warner to be on our side, and they let us do what we want to do. And for whatever reason, it works.
Is it a good time for rock and roll, in your opinion, for rock music in general, because of the social media and all the stuff?
I think so, yeah, because there's a lot of like indie, bands or bands that aren't necessarily with major labels and things like that can, they can start a social media page, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, and they can get traction. And if it's legit, if they're a band that's like really passionate about what they do and they're really good at what they do, then it'll grab hold and it'll grow, So I think it is. And I think also with like rock and metal, it kind of goes through phases. Every 10 years, it kind of comes back and resurges, and then it kind of goes away for a while. And, you know.
Very positive point of view, I have to say.
Kind of, yeah. But I mean, I don't really stay up on it though. I don't really pay attention to it. I just kind of stick in my own world and try to, you know, work on myself and my art and the way I bring my art to Slipknot and what Slipknot does.
Did you expect Slipknot to become such a huge band on the metal scene in general in the industry?
I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, being so involved with it, I can't really look at anything that we do objectively because I'm so attached to it. It's kind of like, I don't know. I keep using this metaphor, but I think it's a decent one. It's like if you have really short hair and you're going to grow your hair out long, you don't see it getting longer, but your friends that haven't seen you for a while are like, oh shit, your hair got long, you know? And so being this attached to the band, I don't know what level we're at. I see, you know, I see the buses, I see the dressing rooms, but that's no different from the last tour or the previous one or any of that. So, I mean, if it's growing, I don't necessarily like really, I don't know, I'm not really aware of it.
Jim, 9 guys in one bus on tour. I'm pretty sure you got used to many things. But 4 buses, oh my God, sorry. I'm pretty sure you got used to this kind of lifestyle. But what is the thing you will never get used to on tour?
You know what? I was just talking about this. It's like the thing that's the hardest for me is, so for the first time in my career, I was home for more than 3 or 4 months. Mm-hmm. The hardest thing for me is switching gears from being home to being on tour. Mm-hmm. And then trying to kind of let go of all the little things, you know, the little differences, the things the creature comforts of home that you get used to, that you kind of take for granted, that you don't get when you're on the road. You know, that's to me, that's the hardest thing. It's like, I wish there was a teleporter that you could use to play the shows and then just go back home afterwards. Because, you know, let's face it, 23 hours of the day, we're trying to find shit to do, or we're traveling, or both. And then, you know, we get 90 minutes to do what it is we love, you know, and it's just not enough time, you know.
I've got some quick questions for you. You have to choose one option. I've got the first one is Aerosmith or Iron Maiden?
Iron Maiden.
Okay, Iowa or California?
What was that one?
California or Iowa? Is it hard for you?
Iowa in the summer.
Okay. Katy Perry or Taylor Swift?
Katy Perry. No, Taylor Swift.
Okay.
She's like 6 foot tall. So.
American food or European food?
European food, no preservatives. Mm-hmm. More natural.
Politics or celebrities?
No, neither. Aren't politicians celebrities now?
Yeah, that's right. Cooking or cleaning the house?
Ooh, I'd have to say.
That's very rock and roll.
I would have to say cleaning the house because I have OCD. So once I start that ball rolling, then, yeah, I'm a neat freak.
1 week in the bus with Nickelback or 1 day in the bus with Donald Trump?
I'll take the bus with Trump because it's shorter amount of time.
Where do you see yourself in like 10 years?
I don't really ever think that far ahead. You know what I mean? Okay. But I mean, you know, if I live my life in album cycles, which I have been for the past 20 years, then I guess it would be, you know, doing Slipknot at some level. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it would be like how we're doing it now. You know, in 10 years, I'm going to be really old by then. So I don't know if I'd be physically able to, you know.
Look at Ozzy.
Yeah. But, you know, I for me, it's, you know, that's something that goes through my head now. Like, I blew my knee out already on this tour. And, you know, I had a cold for, like, the first couple weeks of the tour. And it's like, you know, you got to start taking care of yourself, you know. And that's difficult to do, especially when you're traveling as much as we are. So it's hard to say. Maybe spending more time in the studio and playing more selective shows, maybe.
Okay, I wish you all the best. Because like I told you, I'm a huge fan. I know it's not professional, but I had to say it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.